TEDxTalks.
You're now tuned into the show. You learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today we are getting into part 2 of 2. We are talking keys to productivity. You got the first 3 yesterday. If you didn't catch that, make sure you go back and listen to that episode so you know exactly where we're coming from here. And then we will pick up where we left off yesterday right here today. Before we get into that, let me remind everybody that I send out this text message every morning free of charge to everybody in my text community. I call it the Daily Motivation. This message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. It may not always be as quote unquote positive or uplifting as you expect, but I guarantee you it will be something that is going to move you to action and is going to spark your thoughts, and is going to have you ready to go and do something. Because sometimes the kick in the ass is what you need more. You need a pat on the back. I mean, that's just the truth of life. So understand that and expect that. And when you come in here and you get that daily motivation text, so I don't want to hear any complaining. Somebody saying, well, this isn't as uplifting or as quote unquote positive as you expected. It don't have to be positive. Motivation does not need to be positive. Look up the definition of the word. So just so you know that, text me. Now that you know that, text me. 305-384-6894. Every morning you'll be getting a daily motivation. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. That is the only place where you can work with me directly. If you would like to be coached by Dre Baldwin, you like to be able to talk to me on a regular basis, you want to be able to ask me questions, you want to get some real talk, real direct, no bullshit, no fluff help when it comes to your personal development, your professional development, your business, your money making, and whatever you have going on in between all of that, you need to be in Work on Your Game University. This is a real university. There are no safe spaces. There is no DEI here. There's no wokeness here. There are no politics here. It's just all game to help you get to where you want to go. All right, so we shaved out and cut out all the bullshit, left that on the cutting room floor, threw it in the garbage, and all that's left is the material that you're going to need, and the insights and inspiration and ideas and the feedback that you're going to need to take yourself where you need to go. If I'm speaking your language right now, and if I am, then you know I am, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com, and that's where you can get started in the university. So with all that out of the way, let's get right to it. Picking up on point number 4, we are again talking about keys to productivity. Point number 4, find what works and keep doing it. So you'll notice that several of these points that you're going to hear over the 4 parts of this series are different versions of a similar idea. And find what works and keep doing it is about what? It's about process. It's about routine. It's about habit. Once you find something that works, you have a working formula, there is no need for you to change that formula. This is a discipline and consistency point. Because even though it sounds very simple, as we're talking about, it sounds really simple. Like if you found something that works, why would you not keep doing it? What idiot would stop doing something that actually works? Well, a whole lot of people do that. A whole lot of people stop doing things that work because people get bored. People want some kind of variety. People get tired of routine. People get tired of doing the same stuff over and over again. People get criticized by other people who don't like routine and habit. And they say, well, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. Why don't you try something new? Why don't you do something different? Why would I do something different if my goal is to produce a result? And if I'm producing a result with my current process, the smartest thing for me to do is to keep doing the same process and keep getting the same result over and over again. When your formula is working and it is producing your desired outcome, that's the way you know it's working, by the way. That's what working means. Producing the desired outcome, i.e. effective. Do not change anything. Do not change anything. When I was playing basketball, every once in a while I would play somebody one-on-one. And I would put the video of me playing this person, whoever it was, one-on-one. I would put it on YouTube. And most of these one-on-one games that I played, I won. So I remember putting a video out. I was playing somebody one-on-one, and I basically kept doing the same move over and over again. And I was beating this guy with the same move because he couldn't stop this one move that I just kept doing over and over again. And some people left comments on the video saying, well, Dre, you're only doing the same move over and over again, as if it was like less impressive, or as if my victory and my performance in the game meant less simply because I was doing the same thing over and over again rather than doing a whole bunch of different stuff. And mind you, some of these players, clearly they didn't understand the game. They didn't understand the object of the game, first of all. And they also didn't know what they didn't know. And these players were also watching me do the videos that I would normally put out, the drill videos, where I'll be doing a different move every time. So I had like 2,000 different moves that I had shown players, but then I would get into a one-on-one game, and instead of doing 2,000 different moves, I was doing like 1 or 2 different moves, and winning the game with just the same 1 or 2 moves. So these players would be kind of, again, these players not knowing what they didn't know, confused. They'd be like, well, Dre, in your drills, you're doing like 2,000 different moves, but then when you get in the game, you're doing like 1 or 2 moves. I don't understand. Why don't you do all those moves in the game the same way you do all those moves in practice? And I explained to these players, I made videos explaining this and also comments explaining this, that the object of the game is not to do a whole bunch of different moves. The object of the game is to win the game. And whatever wins the game, you want to do that in as quick and as efficient and as an efficient way as possible. Whatever is most efficient to achieve the outcome, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. I went on to explain to them the reason that I do all those moves in my practice is so that I have them at my disposal. They are available to me if and when I need them, but I don't do them just to do them. I don't do them just to prove that I can or do them just because they're available. I use what's necessary, and that's it. I mean, the best wars are won without bloodshed. All right, so to win a war without bloodshed means you want to do things as efficiently as possible. If you got to shed blood in order to win a war, then somebody messed up in their efficiency process, because there's probably a more efficient way to get things done than having to lose bodies and expend all the energy and resources that gets expended when bodies start dropping. It's the same thing in playing basketball. I'm using that metaphorically. If I can win the game by doing one move over and over again, why do I need to do 30 moves? Why, just to prove to you that I can do 30 moves? No, that's not the object of the game. Now, if the object of the game is to prove to you I can do 30 moves, well, guess what I would do? 30 moves. If the object of the game, though, is to win, I'm going to do whatever allows me to win as efficiently and as quickly as possible. And if that means doing the same move the whole time, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So some people make the maddening mistake of changing things up just for the sake of changing things up. They get bored doing the same things over and over again. People get bored with consistency. People actually, believe it or not, get bored with the consistency of producing outcomes, and they want some type of variety in their lives, and they decide they're going to get that variety by messing with something that's already working. Right? So this thing is already working. Instead of just continuing to do the thing that's working, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change the whole thing up so I can get some variety, because I'm just getting bored with this thing that's working. All right, this is stupid. This is not ignorant. This is stupid. Ignorance is when you don't know what you don't know. Stupid is when you know and you do something dumb anyway. Ignorance is when you do something dumb because you didn't know. If you are guilty of doing this, changing things up that is working, stop. Don't do it anymore. If you have things that are working, any of you right now, look at your formulas and the things you're doing in your life, your personal life, your business life, any process you have. If things are producing the desired outcome, not in outcome, the desired outcome, do not change anything. Just keep doing it. Now, if you're not getting the desired outcome, by all means, then you should be looking for ways to make changes. But if you're getting the desired outcome, don't change anything. Just keep that formula exactly as it is. Take the 30 Days of Discipline course inside Work on Your Game University. There, I will help you extirpate this terrible habit of making change just to say that you made change. Whenever something's working, you want to do it as much as you possibly can. You want to do as much of it as consistently as you possibly can. And do not change anything until or unless it is necessary. And the only time it's necessary to make change is when you're not getting your desired result based on your current process. So if you're not getting your results, change. If you are getting your results, don't change. Is that a simple enough, what they call that, decision tree? Great. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is keys to productivity. Number 5, be clear on what you want to produce, which is how you know you are being effective. Effectiveness is measured by how closely your actions are getting you to your desired outcome. So if you don't know what your desired outcome is, then it's impossible to be effective. So this is a clarity point. When you are clear on what you want, it is much easier to focus. Thus, it is much easier to produce a higher level of force because you know exactly what you're aiming for. It's easier to produce force when you focus all your energies on one specific target rather than you're spreading them out amongst a bunch of other things. I talked about this in an episode on inches and miles. You want to go an inch wide and a mile deep. You'll have a much stronger force when you go a mile deep than if you go a mile wide and, only an inch deep. because you know exactly what you're aiming for. When you don't know what you're aiming for, it's hard to hit a target. All right, what's the desired outcome of the work that you are doing right now? The work you're working on right now today, what's the desired outcome? How will you know you reached it? What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? How will you know you got there? What are the measurables that you are tracking your work by right now? If you are challenged by any of these questions, and it's okay if you are, I would suggest that you fix that challenge by joining Work on Your Game University so we can resolve this and you no longer have this problem ever again, because clarity is power. When you are clear on exactly what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, how you're trying to do it, when you're clear on these things, the more things you can get clear on, the more power you will have. When you don't have clarity, you have confusion, you have less power. A person who's confused can't really be as powerful as they want to be because they don't really know where to direct their focus. But when you have clarity, a person who you may not naturally have that much power, but your power quotient goes up exponentially simply because you're clear on what you want and clear on why you're doing it, clear on how you want to do it, clear on what outcomes you want to produce. When you have that kind of clarity, you will produce better outcomes. Moving on to point number 6. Today's topic, once again, we are talking productivity or keys to productivity. Number 6, less wasted time between activities. I did a video on YouTube where I was talking about this on 2 fronts. Number 1, less wasted time between activities on a micro level, meaning I finished recording this episode and I know right after this, next thing on my list is to respond to a bunch of emails. I don't want there to be like a 6-minute gap between me finishing recording and me actually starting to respond to those emails. That gap is leaked time. It's a leak of time. I got 6 minutes to leak out of my day. And I do that 10 times over the course of a day. 6 times 10 is what? 60 minutes. There's a whole hour of day that got lost simply because I allowed some wasted time between activities. Everybody understanding that point? Also, on a macro level, less wasted time between activities means if I look at my work from the last 6 months and I'm not getting the outcome that I want, number one thing I need to do at that point is not go to myself and say, well, let me just try working harder and just work harder on myself and push myself to do it more, or tell myself I'm going to record more often. All of those things, everybody always ends up in the exact same spot that we were all in from the beginning. If that's all you're going to do, you got to do something different than that. When you finish doing one task, again, ask yourself how much time passes before you get to the next one. The better you can reduce this time, the more efficiently you can reduce the time between tasks, the more you will get done every single day. This is a conscious habit that can only be developed through consistent actions. It's consistent attention, not actions, but attention leads to actions. Better you can reduce the time between tasks, you get more done. And again, this is a conscious habit. You got to be paying attention to this in order to change it. Talk about this when I talk about the subconscious mind in the Bulletproof Mindset course, which is available, of course, to all members of Work on Your Game University. We have constant time and attention leaks via social media. It's always asking for our time. It will suck all of our time out of us if we allow it to. Our email does the same thing. Your text messages do the same thing. All that stuff adds up over a day to long hours of lost opportunity. Not minutes, hours of lost opportunity. Any of you who feels like you don't have enough time in a day to get everything done, this point right here is where you should begin. Until you are using every minute of your day in an effective, conscious, and focused way, your problem is not your lack of time. That is not actually your problem. Many people think that's their problem. Well, Dre, if I just have more time, I would get everything done. That's not the problem of you having more time, because the amount of time that you have now is the same amount of time you had 10 years ago, same amount of time you're going to have 10 years from now. So it's not a matter of time. That's not the issue. You need to be focusing every minute of your day on having an effective, conscious, and a focused process. So at that point, the problem is not a lack of time. The problem becomes a lack of discipline, a lack of focus. These are things that are more intangible, and some people think they are easier to teach. Some people think they are less easy to teach. I believe that these become byproducts of having the right structure. So when your structure is in place, the discipline and the focus can happen easily, but you have to have the right structure, and you got to understand your KYP, which stands for know your personality. You got to know the people you're dealing with and know their personalities, so you know how much is enough to give them, how much is a little bit too much, how much might be pushing it too far. You got to know these things. You got to know these things about yourself more than anybody as well. So again, inside the university, I'll help you with all of this. But before we continue, let me recap what we got here so far today. We are talking again the keys to discipline. I'm going to lay out points 4, 5, and 6. Number 4, find what works and keep doing it. This is a discipline and consistency point. When you had a formula that is working and producing your desired outcome, do not change anything. Some people make the maddening mistake of changing just because they want variety. You don't want variety. All right, the only variety you want is a variety of different ways to win. And different ways to win means sticking to the same program for the most part that has led you to winning up to this point. Number 5, be clear on what you want to produce, which leads to effectiveness. This is a point on clarity. When you're clear on what you want, it is much easier to focus, thus it's much easier to produce a higher level of force because you know exactly what you're aiming for. All right. Now, when you don't know what you're aiming for, it's very hard to hit a target. What's the desired outcome that you're working on right now? If you can't answer, then we're going to have a challenge. All right, this is why I suggest you join the university so we can resolve this problem and you never have it ever again. Clarity is power, everybody. Number 6, less wasted time between activities. When you finish doing your current task, how much time passes before you get started on the next one? Don't lie. Be honest with yourself. Forget about talking to me. Be honest with yourself about how much time passes when you finish one task before you get to the next one. The better you can reduce this leak time, the more you can get done every day. This is a conscious habit that gets developed through consistent attention, and it becomes a normal thing, unconscious habit, after you do it for a consistent period of time. And then we have constant time and attention leaks via social media, email, text. It adds up to hours of lost opportunity. You can start cutting into these hours. You find yourself having a whole lot more time, getting a lot more done, and you'll probably become, since you're a smart person, a lot more successful as an individual because you're giving more time to doing things that a successful person does, right? Produce. So inside the university, I'll help you with all this, specifically inside my 30 Days to Discipline framework, and also just with your direct coaching from me. We can start to figure out what we need to cut out, what we need to do more of, what we need to do less of, and etc. All that happens in the university. So 2 things for you to do now. First of all, text me. Let me know you want to get that daily motivation every morning. My number is 305-384-6894. Secondly, workonyourgameuniversity.com. It's the only place to work with me directly, the only place to be coached with me, only place to get direct access to me and to all the most important frameworks in the university around mindset, strategies, systems, and execution to help your business make the money that you want to be making right now in your life. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.